What's up, guys? This is Tony again over at Industrial Strength. I want to do a follow-up for some stuff that I didn't get into the last kettlebell swing video that I want to make sure I get out for everybody. And I want to talk a little bit more about how sitting deeper into the swing can give you a little bit better leverage with your lift and let you put a little bit more power into it. The reason that this works is when you do a correct hip hinge as opposed to squatting down, there's a minimal change in the elevation of where your hands and effectively where the kettlebell are. So to put that in perspective, I'm going to line up so you can see my ankle is going to be right by this cone right here. And when I go into my hinge, there's very minimal downward movement of my hands, or again, effectively the kettlebell, as I sit back into the hinge. It'd be different if I was squatting, where my hands would go down substantially. But as I sit backwards and I keep my butt fairly high up, there's not a substantial downward movement of the hands or of the kettlebell, meaning you don't have to lift it back up against gravity when you go to re-swing it for your next rep. And so what that means is that the only really force that you're fighting over that time period is the horizontal force vector, the momentum that the kettlebell has horizontally, which isn't going to be as much as gravity pulling the kettlebell down, especially once you start getting to a big heavy kettlebell. So the only time where you really start going against gravity should be after your hips have finished. So there shouldn't be a huge horizontal distance, maybe only about that much, that the kettlebell moves up and down during this portion. And it's not until my hips have snapped that I turn into this kind of pendulum, and now I've got, this much distance that we're going to be lifting the kettlebell up against gravity, and the momentum should just be drifting it up there. So the farther you sit back into it, the more time you have to build your power and your explosiveness going forward before you have to have the kettlebell start fighting gravity as it travels up a little bit. So if you cut your swing short, you only get this much distance to build up that power and speed. Not that it can't be done, but it's a lot easier if you give yourself adequate distance to do it. It'd be like asking somebody to do a broad jump, try to jump as far that way as I can, but I can only go to here to jump. I'm not going to go very far. If I want to jump the farthest that I can, I'm going to get down into a very similar position before coming forward. So in order to maximize your hip power, you want to sit back into them as much as you can, so you have as much opportunity to drive forward and drive right through the kettlebell as you possibly can. So, give it a shot, play with it, see how it feels. The other thing that allows you to do is kind of have a little more opportunity to control the momentum of the kettlebell as it's coming down, or absorb it is a word that I use a lot. One of the common complaints I hear about people doing their kettlebell swing is that when they come down to the bottom position, the kettlebell flips around and whacks them in the butt. I find that most people that complain about that are really not sitting back into their hips enough. They tend to be the ones that fold forward like this, and the kettlebell comes up and it whacks them right in the butt. And so once we teach them to sit back and control that momentum and absorb it over a longer period of time, they pretty much eliminate that problem almost 100% of the time. Gives them a little bit of opportunity to control the kettlebell and absorb it, so that the kettlebell's still having momentum traveling backwards and the lifter stopping, so the kettlebell's got to go somewhere else, and inevitably it comes and whacks them in the butt. So come back with the kettlebell, absorb it, it won't come up and whack you in the butt, and it's going to give you more power as you go forward into your next rep or next swing. So give it a shot, let us know what you think. Thank you very much.